Okay, this is day 2 of the distance learning packet for math. Okay, so our task today is on heart rate monitoring. So again, you can pause it, you can read it. I'm going to focus on the important things. So in the box, it talks about her heart rate during different parts of her workout. So she has a warm up for a certain number of minutes, and then she does some exercises, and then she has a cool down for another set of minutes. And then we are asked to graph it. So that's part A, construct a graph, which is on the next page. We have graph paper. Okay. And then B, how many total minutes was our heart rate at 100 beats per minute or above? Okay, so we're going to get that information from the graph. And then C, compare how quickly her heart rate changed during her warm up versus how quickly it changed during her cool down. So how quickly it changed, that is rate of change. So we're going to compare her cool down to her warm up. Okay, so her warm up, we already know some of this. So her warm up, it says 8 beats per minute. 8 beats per minute, and that's her warm up. So that's 8 beats per minute. So it's 8 over 1, or 8. Okay, and then her, let's do that in orange. Her cool down, 8 over 1 for her warm up. And her cool down, we don't know exactly what it is because we know how long, so we can make a ratio. We know the minutes, okay? But we don't know the total beats per minute change. It says her ending beats per minute is 60, but we don't know where it started. So we're going to have to look at the graph and see where her heart rate starts. So let's get this graph ready. Okay, so we have just blank graph paper, and I'm going to draw my x and y axes here. I did in black. And I'm just going to leave a little bit of space so I can draw, or so I can write some numbers and our labels. So there's the y, and then let's do the x down here. Okay, and then we're going to need some numbers. All right, so we don't know exactly how high her heart rate gets based off of this information. We don't have that yet. So I don't know. I know that we need to look for 100 beats per minute. Okay. So let's see. If we count by, what sort of numbers do we have here? 8 beats per minute. So 8 beats, 60. So we at least need some even numbers. Maybe we can count by 4s. Let's see here. Yeah, let's try counting by 4s. So we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48, 52. So I'm going to skip a line and I'm going to count by 8s just to save a little bit of writing. 56, 64, 72, 80. I mean, you could fill in every line if you want, if that's easier. Might be easier to count that way. 68, 76, okay. 84, 88, 92, 96, 100, 104, 108. So we're just repeating from where we started. 112, 116, 120. I hope this is enough. 124, 128, 132, 136, 140. Okay, so 140, I don't know if that's enough, but we'll see. Okay, for the x-axis, we need Okay, she warmed for 10 minutes, she exercised for 30, and she cooled down for 20. So that's 60 minutes total. So let's see what we have here. So 60 minutes total. Maybe we can count by fours as well. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. We'll skip around a little bit so it's easier to write. 40, 44, 48, 52, 56, 60. Okay, so that's all we need. Okay, and this is minutes. And then the Y is heart rate. Okay, heart rate, minutes, numbers, we are good. So let's start graphing. Okay, so it says construct a graph, and we want T at 0 when she started her warm-up. Okay, so let's do warm-up. Do this in orange. So her warm-up, she started at 60 beats per minute at time 0. So 60 beats per minute, so that's our starting amount right there. Okay, and then she warmed up for 10 minutes. So I'm going to draw just some light colored lines here at 10 minutes, just so we know when to stop. So 10 minutes. Okay, so 10 minutes, 8. So halfway between 8 and 12 is 10. So I'm going to start there. Okay, so 10 minutes. And we're going to graph using a rate of change of 8 per minute. So my graph goes every 4 minutes. So let's see here. So 8 per 1 minute. Okay, so I want it to be per 4 minutes, so I know where to put my points on my graph, since I'm not counting my ones. Okay, so let's see here. So this times 4 times 4. 8 times 4 is what? 32. Okay, so 32 beats per minute, or 32 beats for every 4 minutes. Okay, so up 32 over 4, up 32. So 60 plus 32 is 92 over 4. Okay. And then up another 32. So that's 100. So up 32. So how many boxes is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boxes over 1. Okay. For 10 minutes. So that's halfway. So now I just want to go half of a box, which is 2. Okay, so 8 over 1 is the same as 16 over 2. Okay, so I'm going to go up 16 and then over to that. Maybe I need to extend that green line a little bit. Okay, so that's our mark for 10. So we need one more point for her warm-up. So we said we're going to go up 16 over 2. So up 16 over 2. So 24 and 16, that is 140. Oh, wow. Just worked out barely. Okay, so if I connect those with the straight line, they should all connect. Perfect. Okay, so that's our warm-up. So our heart rate goes from 60 to 140. And then it says for 30 minutes, her heart rate stays the same. So for 30 minutes, so this is warm up. So for 30 minutes, I'm going to do that in purple. 30 minutes. So I need another green line to show where to stop. So 30 minutes. So 10 plus 30, that's 40 minutes. So here's 40 minutes. I'm going to draw another guideline just so we know where to stop. Okay. And then we're going to go steady or unchanging heart rate from here to here. So stays at, it doesn't look very steady. Let's erase that and try again. Okay, so exactly, well, that's pretty close. Okay, so we have unchanging heart rate of 140. So this is during her exercises. Okay, heart rate's at 140. So let's go back to that part C. So now we know. So let's just pause for a moment. And let's take a look at that part C. So her warm-up, we know her heart rate increases by 8 beats per minute because we're told that in that box at the top. And then her cool down, so her cool down, she started off, so her heart rate started at 140 and went down to 60. Okay, and that took 20 minutes. So that looks like a rate of change. So how much did it decrease over how many minutes? So from 140 to 60, that's 80, and that took 20 minutes. So if we simplify this, we could divide by, we divide by 10, we get 8 over 2. Divide that by 2, we get 4 over 1. All right, so let's see which one is quicker. So how quickly her heart rate changed during the warm-up versus how quickly it changed during her cool-down. So during the warm-up, her heart rate increased. So this is for during her warm-up, her heart rate increased at 8 beats per minute. And then during the cool down, her heart rate decreased slower at only 4 beats per minute, right? Think about speed, like miles per hour. So 4 beats per minute, 4 miles per hour is slower than 8 miles per hour, right? So that's a slower rate. Let's just clean that up a little. 4 beats per minute. Okay. So I like to read through the entire problem first so I know what I'm looking for. And then as soon as I find the information, I like to go back to it and just fill it in as I go so that I'm getting something done instead of going through it and not really knowing what my goal is. And then all of a sudden I go back to the problems and I have no idea how to solve anything. So we're just kind of filling in as we learn. All right, so let's go back to our graph. And we're going to graph the cool down, which is for 20 minutes. So we need to draw another guideline for 20 minutes. So 40 plus 20 is 60. So another guide right there. And our cool down for 20 minutes, and we get down to our original starting at 60. Okay, so we just figured the rate on the other page. So let's see if we were right. Okay, so there's our line. So we want to find the slope of this line. Well, if we want to do that, we just need 2 points where the line crosses the grids exactly. So there's one, and there's one. Okay, so let's see if we're right. So let's look at our slope. We know it's negative because it's a cool down. So we think it's 4 over 1. Okay, so let's see if we agree with our graph. So we're going to go from 92, so it's at 92 down to 76. We're not counting boxes, remember. 92 to 76. Okay, so that's, let's see here. From 76 to 80, that's 4. And 92 to 90, that's 2. So that's 6. 16. So 16. And then down at the bottom, we have 52 to 56, which is 4. So that's going to be a minus, right, if we're thinking about slope. And we simplify that, we get negative 4 over 1. So it's a cool down. That's why it's negative. And that's exactly what we got over here, 4 over 1. So nicely done. Okay, so that's our graph, which when we were kind of brainstorming, hopefully we kind of saw this in our head. We've done qualitative graphs before. We could think about her heart rate going up, staying the same, and then coming back down. And then we see that the slope, it's hard to tell on our graph, but the slope is steeper going up, the warm up, compared to the cool down. It's fairly close, but it is a little bit slower on the cool down. Okay, so part A, is that all we have to do? Just graph it, right? Okay. So everything looks good. All right, part B. For how many minutes total was her heart rate at 100 beats per minute or above? Okay, so coming back to our graph, I'm going to draw another guideline at 100 beats per minute. So here's 100 beats per minute. So I want a horizontal line. So I want to know all of this area above it. So all of this is the heart rate over 100. So how many minutes was that? So let's take a look at these endpoints here. So here's the first point where it goes over 100. So let's come down. So it's 5, let's see, 4, here's 6, so it's about 5 minutes. So at 5 minutes, about 5 minutes to the point over here where it goes below 100. Okay, we come down, that's halfway between these two, so that would be 50 at 50 minutes. Okay, so it's by the time her workout reaches 5 minutes, her heart rate goes past 100, stays over 100 until 50 minutes into her workout. So total number of minutes from 5 minutes to 50 minutes is, so it starts at, so at 5, from 5 minutes to 50 minutes, it's greater than 100 beats per minute. Okay, so how many minutes total is that? So her heart rate was at 100 beats per minute or higher for, what is that, 5 to 50, that's 45 minutes. Okay, so that's it. I mean, it took a while, right? But it included a lot of things that we've learned this year. Slope, qualitative graphs, graphing in general, looking at a graph, figuring out slope, comparing. This is it. If you can do all of this, you are set for Algebra 1. All right, let's continue. So here's a rule of 4 again. This time we have the table. We don't have a description. We need to find the slope. We need to find the y-intercept. So just like I did before, I will help you with the slope and the y-intercept and the equation, and I'm going to leave the rest up to you. So we have a table, and we need to find the slope from a table. So we're going to look at the rate of change. So this is x, this is y. What is our rate of change? So 15 to 25, that's adding 10. Just make sure that's also adding 10. Okay, on the x side, we're adding 2, adding 2. So our slope, change in y over change in x. Change in y is 10, change in x is 2. That's 5 over 1, or just 5. Okay, now, remember what we did before on day 1. our y-intercept, so here's 5. Okay, y-intercept, we need x to be 0. So it's not on the table, so we need to work backwards to find it. All right, so we have 3. We can go backwards to the next point, which would be following the same pattern. So we just subtract 2 sets of 1. And over here, we're subtracting 10. So that would be 5. Now, if we subtract 2 again, then that's too much. So we want to just subtract 1. Okay, so we need that equivalent fraction. So that was just 5 over 1, wasn't it? So for every 1 on the x, we go 5 on the y. So that's going to be minus 5. So that's a 0. So 0, 0. So our y-intercept is 0. So this is a proportional relationship. Again, it's going to go right through the origin. So C, what could that be, right? You're going to have to describe this in words. You're going to write a description. So actually, I need to move this maybe down here. Okay, so we need a word description. So C, what could that be? I mean, I think of easy things like cost, right? If we make that cost, so we have dollars here. P, Pringles, potato chips, 3 bags for $15 is pretty expensive. Hopefully they're good. Whatever you want. Anything that starts with P. Potatoes. 3 pounds of potatoes for $15. I'm not sure. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. So it is proportional though. All right, let's do our equation and then we'll move on. So again, y equals mx plus b, but this, in this case, b is 0, so we don't have that, so we just have y equals m, which is 5 times x. Check our expression. We're going to substitute. Just choose any point. Let's just use this one, 10 and 50. So when y is 50, x is 10. So 5, and then instead of x, we're going to put a 10. We're going to see if both those sides are equal to each other, and they are. Okay. Again, graph it, write a description. Again, use the letters that are given. I think C would be good for cost. It's up to you, though. You could change it, whatever you want. And then P, choose something for that. Okay, the next one. Just labeling the points. Okay, what is the ordered pair? So x comma y, I'll do 1. A, well, let's do 1. That's in the, let's put some negatives here. So let's do B. So for B, the x first, okay, just assume each of these is 1. So that'd be -2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. So that'd be at -2, so x first, so it's always x comma y. So -2 comma -4. So that's it. Okay, what's the ordered pair for each point? Okay, there's 3 more to do. Graph, so going backwards now, graph the ordered pairs. So let's do this one. -4, okay, x first, -1, 2, 3, -4, and +2, 1, 2. So that point is here. I'm just going to call it 0.7. Okay, and then 5, 6, and 8, up to you. Okay, express each relation as a table and a graph. So we're just going to convert these points into a table and then graph them on the graph. Okay, so remember, it's always x comma y. So we have 4, -2, -1, 1, 2, -3, 3, comma 0. Now, normally, we would put them in order, but for this, it doesn't really matter, right? We're just putting them on a table, and then we're going to graph them. So let's do that. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, -2. Okay, so there's 1 point, and we don't have to label them. -1, +1, there's another point. +2, -3, that's here. And then 1, 2, 3, comma 0. So this is not a line. It doesn't say anything about linear function, lines, anything like that. It's just points on a graph. So don't worry, we're not connecting the dots. It's just points on a graph. So there's one more for you to do exactly the same. Okay, and then another one of these. I'm going to help you solve it, and then you're going to do the rest. All right, so we have an equation, multiple step equation. We have parentheses. When we have parentheses, what do we have to do? We have to use the distributive property. Okay, once we do that, then we're going to look for any like terms. We're going to combine that, and then eventually isolate x and find out what it is. So I'm going to rewrite it. So 2, and then we have x minus 8 plus 4x equals 20. Okay, so distributive property. So this 2 in front of the parentheses, we're going to multiply it by each of the terms inside. So that's multiply. So 2 times, I'm going to just write this out every single step just in case you forgot. So 2 times x, and then again 2, right, the 2 in front, times, and that negative sign goes with that 8. And then everything else, we're just rewriting it as it is. Okay, so 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 8, that's negative 16, so it becomes minus 16, plus 4x equals 20. Okay, here's some like terms. We always look for that here and here. Both positive, so we have a positive 2x and a positive 4x. Together that makes 6x, and then we have the minus 16 equals 20. All right, so the x is on the left. We want to keep it on the left. We want to get rid of all those other numbers. So let's add 16 to get rid of that on both sides. Okay, so negative and a positive 16, that becomes 0. So we're all we have on the left is 6x. On the right, we have 36. Okay, our last step is to divide both sides by 6. So that 6 over 6 is a 1. So 1 times x is just x on the left, which is what we want. We want to isolate the variable. And then 36 divided by 6, that is 6. Okay? And that's it. X equals 6. And the rest is for you to fill out. And again, we are done with day 2.